Hello YouTube, what is up? I got a good video for you guys today. I'll jump right into it. It's 5 practical business tips for your business. If you run a business, even a small one, even if you run it out of your garage, hopefully I have some advice for you, and I want to give you 5 practical tips. These aren't going to be glamorous. They're not, viral growth hacks or anything, but these will really help you start to tighten up and start seeing better results. And this is stuff that I've learned over the past 7 years of owning and operating a full-time online reselling business. And these are like the quiet wins, things that I've learned personally. It's been a busy week already. Got 100 pairs of jeans in this week, but I'll make a separate video on that. We'll jump right into tip number 1. Know your numbers, even the ugly ones. We just wrapped up the tax season, so you should know your numbers, but you even need to know the ugly ones. And this was big for me because I used to avoid looking at the hard numbers. How much I was actually making, after profiting after fees and shipping and time. And that's a big one. But once I got brutally honest with myself, things changed. Track everything. I mean, cost per unit, average sale price, shipping time, return rate, even the time it takes to process inventory. Once you can get it down to a science, once you can break down all your numbers into time, that's how you can figure out how to scale your business. And I realized some of the things I was doing in the past didn't compute. They didn't make sense. I had to know my numbers, the hard numbers, how much time I was putting in and the return on the time. Because as entrepreneurs, we don't get paid by the hour, we get paid by our results. And that's what, it's kind of like what Peter Drucker said, famous author, wrote Managing Oneself. What gets measured gets managed. So if you don't track it, you can't improve it. Awesome author, Peter Drucker. We recommend him to anybody to read the book Managing Oneself. I believe it's on the business or the Harvard Business School's top 100 books. Go check it out. Fantastic advice. But know your numbers, even the ugly ones. Okay, that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to build systems in your business and not chaos. See, sometimes we have it the other way around, because I used to think I could just do everything, wing everything. I used to think I had an innate ability to be a good businessman, but no, running your business by instinct or just talent only works for so long, only until you get so busy. Like I said, I used to wing it. I used to, kind of source one day and list the other day and then ship when I felt like it. But systems changed all of that. Now I batch all my tasks. I have routines and systems for everything. I'll list in the morning, I'll ship at the same time every day, I'll check offers in morning, evening, middle of the day, all that stuff. I have structure and I have mental peace of mind. And all this comes from the famous book, and as you've heard, Atomic Habits. It's like one of the best-selling books of the past few years in the business self-help space. But it's like James Clear says, the author, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. That's definitely been true for me. So, yes, build systems, not chaos. Okay? That's tip number 2. Here's tip number 3. And some of you might not like this, but focus on speed over perfection. Speed wins, in my opinion. Speed defies gravity. It's what makes planes fly. But that doesn't mean you have to do sloppy work. It just means don't overthink the details. Move throughout your day with certainty and purpose, and get things off your plate. See, I used to overthink everything. I used to all my listings for my business had to have been perfect. Perfect keywords, perfect descriptions, perfect photos. But I've really condensed that down. I just focus on what works to help speed up my process and be able to basically process and move more inventory. And the more inventory I can move, the more money my business can make. So perfection doesn't pay the bills, at least for me. Speed does. Winston Churchill, he had a famous quote on perfection. He used to say perfection was the enemy of process. And that's pretty powerful. That's a man that changed the world, Winston Churchill. So speed over perfection. Okay. Tip number 4, we're on to number 4 already. Treat repeatable work like a factory line. Okay, this is kind of going to piggyback off the systems tip number 2. See, my grandfather used to work on a factory line. A lot of younger or a lot of older generations did. If a task happens more than once a week, it needs a process. That's how I think about it. Listing, shipping, even how I respond to offers for my business, they all have scripts and systems now. And when I get behind, I don't panic, I just follow the process. See, since everything has a system, I just run that system like a factory line. The system is the factory, and I simply work inside of it. There's a great book where I got this called Work the System by Sam Carpenter, and he said, make the machine and then run the machine. Okay? So make the system and then work the system and treat it like a factory. And it's a great way to scale your business. Treat everything like a factory, just like the assembly line, the Model T. Okay? Last tip. Here's tip number 5. Use boring tools. Okay? This is a weird one. I know it sounds weird. Use boring tools religiously. Pen, paper, sticky notes. Here's what I use every day. I use a Sharpie. I use a pocket knife. I use saran wrap, masking tape. I even carry a little notebook with me all the time. These are boring tools, but you can literally start a business with $20 worth of simple tools. They last forever. They don't break. They're extremely handy and practical. And if you're creative enough, you can accomplish a lot of work with boring tools. Okay? I got another great quote for this one. And you probably know who this guy is, Naval Ravikant, kind of a modern age philosopher almost. He has an amazing quote where he says, play long-term games with long-term people and use long-term tools. And this little notebook that I carry in my pocket every single day, it lives in my front pocket, is a long-term tool. Okay, and this thing has been accounted for many of successes in my business right here. A simple, boring tool that I use religiously. So there's my 5 tips for today. Obviously, none of these things are gonna blow your business up overnight, but they will help you compound your business if you implement them and are religious about them. They'll help you stay sane, when sales might be down. They'll help you implement things in your business, little tweaks, little notches to help tighten things up. Business doesn't have to feel like a roller coaster, So build systems, treat it like a factory, use boring tools, go fast, and know your numbers. I mean, all this stuff can lead to a lot of business success in the future. So James Clear again also said, success is not a product of habits, success is a product of habits, not a once in a lifetime transformation. So make simple progress, simple habits, and they will compound over time. So these are some things that I've learned through growing my reselling business, through these hundreds of videos I posted on my YouTube channel. I mean, you used to watch me when I posted videos in my basement at my old house, all that stuff, and we've come a long ways. I've really unlocked my life, so I'm excited to keep on making videos. But if this helped you, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. I appreciate any support that you guys give to this channel. I have some big plans in the future for this channel, and I just I want to keep posting videos. So that's that. And if you want, real world business advice, nothing flashy. I'm literally in my garage right now. Like, this is part of my business here. I have some other workspaces that I work in and lease out and whatnot, but I do a lot of work in my garage right here. Nothing flashy. This is a real practical business that I run, and I think I give a good perspective on what it's really like to be an entrepreneur in the real world. somebody who has, you know, had some decent success and just, you know, lives it in a practical lifestyle. So, yeah, that's that. Keep on supporting this channel if you want to see more videos. But I appreciate all your support. In the meantime, be good to one another, and I'll see you guys again. Peace.